Thank you.
Bye, Joe. We'll miss you.
Right, one of you speak.
Hi, I'm speaking. I am.
Hello,
giving you
I'm
the
speaking
things.
too.
No, I was speaking.
Who was speaking?
Thought we were all supposed to speak.
Ah!
All right, we're
Let us
live.
speak, Vendetta and I.
All right, here we go. 3, 2. Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Hello, Internet. We're joined by Patrick Norton.
Patrick's like, yeah, I don't know about that.
I wasn't
I'm
sure.
here.
I had the sense that Patrick was about to say something.
Oh.
But then, yes, Patrick Norton's joining us today for Daily Tech News Show.
I couldn't tell if my video was actually live, so I kind of drew back from the speaking part.
Everyone loves your blur, Patrick.
Is it the Skype blur or are you using something else?
I have no idea. At this point, I'm actually
it's
today. Yeah, this is Skype because I'm actually. I don't have the active blur turned on. This just seems to be a feature
No,
of
it's
passive
half
blur.
his mic
Passive
is blurred
blur.
out. That's a
Gotta love
Skype
it.
blur.
So,
Maybe like this and get really blurry.
So Patrick's in a different location. And
I'm in,
Sarah is in a new location. Everybody's new.
Everybody's moving around.
Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick's in a location that will continue to move.
Undisclosed.
I
He's in-
hope to not move ever again. In fact, and if I
Man,
do,
I've said
I
that
will be
22
mad.
times in my life.
I
yeah,
have moved
no.
so many
Denial
times.
is no substitute for earthquake preparation, Sarah.
You know what? People go, I mean, moving, how do you do it? And you go, oh, it'll be fun, new and fresh start. And then I do it every time. And I'm like, this was, a great idea in theory, but just always so much harder than you think.
Yeah, when we moved into our condo in Oakland. I'm like, this is it. We're going to be here for a long time. I'm not going to make the mistake, but we'll be here for a long. We're there for like 4 years.
Yeah, somebody's like, "Are you gonna? Did you buy this house in Alameda to flip it?" And I'm like, "No, I bought this house in Alameda to die in it, preferably several decades from now."
Right. A long time.
And then the gods laughed and plans
I don't know.
changed.
Next time I move, I want to move because I got like super rich and I need to move into my big ass mansion.
Well, me too. That sounds great.
Next time I move,
all
I want to
do
move
that.
because you got super rich and invited me to live in your big ass mansion.
Sure,
you go.
why
Next
not?
time
It's
I
big-
move,
it's-
I want
has a-
somebody else to carry the boxes and drive the truck.
I will also generously live in Roger's mansion.
I want to live
That's our
somewhere
plan.
where the driveway comes around to the front of the house and then exits out back onto the street.
Well, there's a place not too far from me that does that, but it's it's a small lot. It's not a mansion. They just did that in their front yard.
Oh, just like a loop kind of thing?
Yeah.
That's
It
a very
needs to
LA
have.
home.
There needs to be enough.
it have a water
There needs to
feature?
be enough driveway for French horn music to play in the background, like from the Grey Poupon
As they're
commercial.
driving up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see. You want grounds. You want
Yes.
to
Don't
be
forget the
surrounded-
back entrance so I can come to
Yes,
visit.
but it will be. It will be guarded in such a way that it's low water usage.
That is our retirement plan at Subbrilliant LLC. We will all work really hard to make Roger rich and move into his mansion.
Yeah.
And we will all plant the cactuses.
And then you can
in
just
his
deal with
yard.
utilities and stuff.
Yeah, I mean we'll be gardeners.
Yeah.
Housekeeper.
Well, you'll be rich, so none of us have to do that.
I'm good at
Solar
keeping kitchens
installers.
clean sometimes if I really want to.
Yeah, I'm good at it unless
I'm
I'm
good at doing
lazy.
dishes. Not so much the countertops.
I have a full staff of TaskRabbit part-timers.
Hey,
On call.
Beatmaster, who's usually the person who tells us, hey, congratulate this person for subscribing on Twitch, just subscribed at tier 1, 6-month streak. Thank you, Beatmaster. Now you don't have to put yourself in the notes. We have a new post up on Patreon, our monthly update post. If you want to find out who the guests are coming up the rest of the month, if you want to get the discount code, there's a discount code for 5% off the store. That's all on patreon.com/DTNS. Just went up earlier this morning. Go check that out. Hey, Squirt Pie just subscribed with Twitch Prime for the second month.
Squirtle pie. Squirt pie? Squirtle pie.
Squirt Pie.
Maybe it's Squirtle pie.
Well, that is lovely.
It is.
Whatever kind of pie you are.
Do you guys remember what today
thank
is?
Pie Day?
Tuesday,
Today's something
So-
national something.
November 5th.
Right, get closer. Remember?
Someone's birthday?
Remember the 5th of November?
Oh.
The
mhm.
gunpowder treason and plot?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
I
yes.
do.
Julius
Yes.
Caesar.
Julius Caesar Day. That's right. It's very
Yeah.
famous in Britain.
That Natalie
When
Portman
Julius
movie.
Caesar planned to blow up Parliament.
Ooh, that's a great one. Where Natalie Portman shaved head. We're talking about shaved
yeah.
heads recently. It's a good one. I like to.
When did we talk shaved heads?
In October, Roger. In October, the best of GDI included conversation about shaving heads. In fact,
I wouldn't shave my head.
well, I know, and I probably won't either. But I do still. I hold the fantasy that it would just be just a fun 10 minutes of my life to shave my head.
Where can you watch V for Vendetta right now?
I loved that movie.
It's a new movie I really enjoyed that I don't own any
Yeah.
copy.
I don't think I saw it more than the once. I did the junket when it came out, so
Oh, really?
yeah. So I got to meet everybody. That was exciting. But I mean, I really liked the movie. I don't think I saw it twice though.
I have it somewhere on Blu-ray.
It's not exactly pleasant. It's just good.
Well, it was a graphic novel
In fact, it's not pleasant
that
at all.
was supposed to be not a satiric, but kind of a statement on Margaret Thatcher's Britain in the 80s.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, I'm just gonna hold my mic.
Oh no!
Dag nabbit.
What's wrong with the mic?
It's not the mic. It's the arm. It was giving me trouble yesterday, so I just started to hold the mic halfway through the show because I didn't want to, sound
That's
like
annoying,
anything.
Though.
And well, yeah, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. I just thought I had it clamped okay
it's
today.
The end of the world.
It's the end of the world as I know it.
But you still feel fine.
No, I don't actually.
Oh,
'cause
you
I
don't?
gotta
You don't
hold
feel
this
fine.
heavy mic. I don't
Can
feel
you
fine.
put some books around it or something? The arm to.
It's hard. There's a lot. There's kind of. It's wieldly unless it's in a very specific place, which I don't know.
Listen, folks.
This has been falling apart for a few months now. I just got to get a new one.
It's on
I know
Netflix.
good
V for Vendetta is on Netflix right now.
Oh,
We know some of you are fans of natural sound, so we've been trying to provide that for you. Garage door yesterday, some mic adjustments today.
I won't do that to you guys again. I also realized there's a door. There's just a regular old door that I could have walked out.
Oh
of.
no, really?
Yeah.
Brilliance of a new place,
I was
right?
just used to it because we were kind of moving things in and out, and so the big This morning I was like, that's so dumb.
wait,
I don't
there's
even
the
have
door.
to open
Yeah.
the huge door.
It's always like that
Walk
when you're in a new place. I remember having a guy come over to fix an outlet that was dead, and I was like, "These two are dead." And he's like, "That one's not dead." I'm like, "No, it totally doesn't work." And he went over and flipped a switch. He's like, "This is the switch that
now it
turns that
works.
outlet on." Off. I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
hi, I'm new here. Thanks."
Who wires a wall like that? They do.
I
in
also-
Australia.
There's my front door, of like my actual apartment, not the garage, has a motion sensor light, which is great, because you kind of
sure.
walk up some stairs and light goes on, whatever. And it was going on sort of normally, and then it wasn't for a while, and I was like, oh, that's annoying. It's something that you want to count on, having the light that comes on, not just for like security, but just for my own, so I can see. And I realized there's a switch on the inside of the apartment that has to be on in order for the motion sensor to be on. But in the daylight, I was just like, I don't know what this switch does. And so I just turned it off.
Oh,
It took a couple of days to figure
And
out.
because it's
that's
daylight, the
what
sensor
that's
means it's not
connected
going.
to.
Yeah,
They need to label those or put a different color plate around the switch.
Well, the property manager should do that. Oh wait, that's Sarah now.
That's me.
You
I mean,
should
I've
complain
now
to
just
yourself.
committed to memory that light that switch should always just be up.
Uh-huh.
But nobody told me that. I had to just figure it out. And I
Well,
It's a
thought,
good
"My
excuse to buy a label maker, though. You could put always leave light in up position.
Well, it's interesting because I
Well, that's
remember
true.
when I was in Australia, a lot of the outlets are all controlled next to the light switch. There's a separate switch that turns the outlets on and off.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of places like that. Europe,
Yeah.
they do that in the UK
It's like
too.
a safety thing. So I guess if you're being electrocuted, you might be able to shut it off.
I think it's so that when you're gone, the outlets aren't on sparking away without you there. to do anything about it?
Ah,
Sometimes
Because
people just
they
don't
some places I've stayed even instructed you to turn them off when you left.
our electricity is somewhat suspect. Switch off when not in use.
Electricity is for the birds. Back to candlelight, everyone.
Birds like candlelight.
Birds by Candlelight.
Yeah,
New novel from Tom Merritt.
You just think of how simple life would be. You just don't have power. Sorry, don't have power. Can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read a book during the day and then
You
go
don't
to
have
bed.
this show.
No, you don't. You know. I suppose you could live off a generator for a short period of time.
The internet.
You
Well,
can live
that's
This is
there
all.
for a long
This is
time
all.
if you
I
have
just have PTSD now. I'm like power. Ugh.
yeah.
Who
I can do
needs it?
without it.
I'll tell you, that person is me. I really need power.
You're not tricking me
That's
back
not
into being
PTSD.
reliant on you, PG&E.
You need to. Oh, Patrick, you need to speak a little bit louder.
Sorry, I said that's not PTSD. That's not giving a totally different reaction.
That's PGES, PG&E syndrome.
Yeah.
PGEWTF, MOUSE.
PGE GTFO.
That reminds me, I have to cancel my electric down south. Darn it.
Are you still getting billed?
They're trigger words, where I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing I need to do. I haven't done that yet. I'll do that right after the show.
Then you
well,
say,
I mean,
"Hey,
the electricity has not been turned off, so if anyone has a light on right now, yes, it would be charged to me.
Oh, that's the premise of Red Dwarf. Rimmer left the, well, not Rimmer, who's the guy? What's his name? He left the light on, and that helped pay for everything in Britain because the power company was constantly charging him. But the small amount of money out of the bank had accrued to so much interest that was paying the bill and therefore keeping the country.
And he was a dwarf?
No, it was a space comedy series from Britain called Red
Ah.
Dwarf.
He was from,
unbelievable
it was
funny.
Red
Right,
Dwarf
just like-
is the name of the show.
Right, yeah, but I didn't know if the name was,
No,
what
it's a planetary body, that kind
got
of.
it. Yes, yes, like dwarf planet.
Well, it's a ship, but that's a whole nother story.
And then with a smart alecky computer.
Oh, aren't they always?
But I mean, like, it was like very British,
And a cat.
witty, kind of like, Like
It's Nate Langston's favorite show.
Yeah, if you asked the computer to do something, she would, whether it was a he or was it always a she, would respond back with another question, like why.
Tell us about the cat, Roger.
Oh yeah, his cat evolved into a human, and then evolved into a race of cat humans.
One
right?
might say devolved.
But they went to war
One
with
might.
each other, and they killed killed each other off in the ship because they couldn't decide whether or not the owner, the guy that the protagonist of the show, whether or not he wore a cap or not in life. And so there was a great religious war over it, and he was the remaining sole survivor. It's a really funny show.
It's
for the
It
first.
sounds like it doesn't work. For at least the first couple years, it's unbelievably
It's
funny.
like for the first 3 years, it's pretty good, and then it just got really boring because we got.
And it will eventually lead to some of the best EV coverage ever from one of the former cast members who had enough money from the show to start covering electric vehicles.
Oh, nice. I just remember what's his name hosting Robot Wars, the British robot battle thing.
Hey, do I have? I got like a minute. I can grab another mic. This is good. This is gonna get annoying.
You have like 30
next-
seconds. Yeah,
Well,
but
okay. All right.
go for it. Do it. Make it happen. I wish you would have thought of that earlier. But go, fly.
Fly like
Fly,
the
Be
wind.
free. Fly, you fools.
So yeah, trailer living.
I was looking up Red Dwarf to see where that's playing, but
I
it
almost
looks like
bought
you
the
can
box
only.
set.
Oh no, you can get it on BritBox. Never mind.
You
You can buy it too, but BritBox has it streaming if you
And
subscribe.
let me
to
guess, you watched it, Patrick, because of
BritBox?
Josh Lawrence.
No.
Oh.
I actually saw it long before
You met
Josh and I became.
Yeah, it was all
buddies.
over PBS when I was growing up.
Jay Lawrence.
I started watching it because of a young woman I was dating who was an incredible fan.
And that woman was Gal
Jane
Gadot.
Lawrence. No.
I honestly believe Josh would have killed me if I'd ever dated one of his sisters.
Okay, done.
I've only
It
met
would
his
have
All right.
brother.
triggered one
Well
of his
done.
Texas subroutines.
Well,
That was-
I knew it was right next to me, so it wasn't going to take that long. This is so
Oh,
much
that's
better.
great.
Oh,
Sounds
so
good.
much better.
Woo
Yeah.
woo! Yay!
Yay.
Oh,
All right.
just in time.
Is everyone ready?
Tom didn't think I could do it in time.
I should never have doubted you.
But he did.
But he did, but that's okay.
learned-
That's
I
right.
have
We should all
learned a
doubt
lot.
each other, just, some friendly doubting. It's fine.
No, I actually thought you could, but
It's all right. Oh, I know.
You say that now.
I know how it
Tom.
goes when you move, right? All right, we got to go. And
Okay.
now I'm delaying this. Here we go. In 3, 2. Coming up on DTNS, talking to your smart speaker by laser, plus computer parts are getting cheap. Are they cheap enough? And Patrick Norton's Tales of Life with only mobile internet. A little late for Halloween, but it's still scary. This is the Daily Tech News Show. This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, the 5th of November, 2019, that we remember. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Redwood, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
As just mentioned, host of AVXL and This Week in Computer Hardware, Patrick Norton with us today. Good to have you back, man.
Greetings from the Silver Twinkie, and don't mind that husky. It's not congenital. No, it's
So-
not contagious.
It's not congenital either, though, I assume. Patrick, of course, referring to his dog and your abode. You're coming to us with the Silver Twinkie is where you live now.
Silver Twinkie, we are packed up. We are in the Airstream. We are mobile and heading north shortly. Although we may have to head to Reno to pick up the winter clothing because it's getting colder as we head north, as
Yeah, no, good
Sarah
point.
will attest.
We have got a show for you. We were just talking about V for Vendetta and Red Dwarf and all kinds of good stuff on Good Day Internet. If you want that wider show and our wider conversations about things, become a member at patreon.com/DTNS. Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Uber reported its Q3 earnings that beat analyst expectations on revenue at $3.81 billion and a loss per share of 68 cents versus 81 cents, which was expected. Uber reported a net loss of $1.16 billion for the quarter, which included $401 million in stock-based compensation. During the same quarter last year, Uber lost $986 million. So the losses are going up, but CEO Dara Khosrowshahi says that the company expects to reach profitability in 2021.
Federal Trade Commission announced Tuesday that AT&T will pay $60 million to settle a case alleging the company lied to customers about unlimited data plans, which throttled data over a certain threshold. AT&T now must deposit $60 million into a fund, providing partial refunds to customers who signed up for unlimited data plans before 2011. AT&T also must disclose any restrictions its unlimited plans have going forward.
Yes, that would be nice if it did that. When new users sign up for Disney Plus and ESPN Plus, they'll now see a box promoting signups for the Starz streaming service. The deal was made by Disney in order to get back streaming rights for some movies that had been licensed to Starz.
Like Stars Wars, for instance.
Yeah.
Google incubator Area 120 launched an app called Pigeon last year in New York City that crowdsources transit information. So kind of like Waze, but letting you know if there's a delay in your bus or your train, that kind of thing. Pigeon's now launching in Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and home of the world champion Nationals, Washington, D.C. Pigeon is available for iOS with an Android version on the way.
Malaysia will allow motorcycle hailing firms like Gojek to start limited operations beginning in January. Gojek says it will work with Malaysian regulators to determine how best to enter the market. A 6-month pilot project will be limited to the Klang Valley, Malaysia's, where the capital Kuala Lumpur is located. Gojek will compete with local company Dago Ride and car hailing service Grab.
And Google, ETH Zurich, G&D Mobile Security, Nuvoton Technology, and Western Digital have partnered to create Open Titan, an open source secure chip design project. Open source hardware. The idea is to build some secure chips for things like data centers, storage, computer peripherals that can be easily inspected for backdoors and be therefore very secure. OpenTitan will build off Google's own Titan chip design. They use that in their Android phones as well as in the multi-factor security keys. OpenTitan will be run by a nonprofit called the Low Risk Community. That's RISC, Low Risk Community. All right, let's talk a little about Google's new loyalty program.
Yeah, Google's launching something called Google Play Points in the US. So you can earn points for things that you do within Google Play, like downloading apps or subscribing to services, buying movies, books, TV shows, the like. Points can be redeemed for other things that you would otherwise do in Google Play, like in-app purchases for Pokemon Go, renting a movie, buying an audiobook. Google Play Points first launched in Japan in September of 2018, came to South Korea in April of this year, and the US program has 4 levels of its own, bronze through platinum, and points are worth more the higher level that you reach. Obviously, points can be used on a few dozen apps as well as some charitable causes. Google funds the points so developers don't lose any money by participating.
Yeah, so if like you get up to that platinum level, I don't know exactly, but it's something like each point is no longer worth $1, it's worth $1.40, some, stuff like that. Great way to keep people in the system. It's going to make people open Google Play more often, which will make them probably spend more money in Google Play, and it will keep people a little more loyal to Android. If they build up a lot of points, they won't want to switch to another platform.
I'm not totally sure how successful this will be, but it is very genius to gamify the the method of buying apps and just sort of being in Google Play in general. And just like, I don't know, it's why I always fly United, because I have miles on United.
Right.
Is it the best airline? Well, yeah, it's arguably not.
No.
But you get into a system and you end up you do build loyalty with customers by doing stuff like this.
Patrick?
I am trying to decide if I am horrified, disgusted, or just irritated. I find the gaming of buying stuff to be kind of loathsome. I also had to buy a game for my boys, and I had to explain to them that they may get killed every time they open up the game, because about a year ago, the game developers decided to make a whole lot of money selling staggering amounts of accessories or upgrades to a tiny
look, if they build up points,
users.
they won't have to spend your money to get those things.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I mean, one, it's always nice to get something back because you're going to spend the money on these apps anyway. I just always get a little uptight about the gamification of spending.
I'm starting to get loyalty program weariness. Everybody's got one. Uber's got one. I can't keep track because they only work if they end up having their customers spend more money. So you always have to look for the loopholes that are going to trick you into spending more money than you would otherwise, which is exhausting.
Well, it's also, a lot of them mostly exist because they want to capture your information and track your information. I had to, in order to set something up recently, I had to get you need an ID from this website, which is the brand on the thing. So I had to create an ID, which was basically gathering a bunch of information for marketing purposes. And then it kicked me back to the original application to log in with my new ID. And I just made me weary of just all of the privacy tracking, and I don't know. I have complicated feels that will not fit in the context of this very short news show.
Researchers from Tokyo's University of Electrocommunications and the University of Michigan have demonstrated how lasers could activate voice assistants. Microphones in mobile devices and smart speakers use MEMS, micro electromechanical systems, to detect vibration in the air. They're very sensitive at that. That's why those microphones can be so small and so good. They convert the vibrations of a diaphragm in the microphone into electrical signals. It's just how microphones work. But the diaphragm used in MEMS to detect sound happens to also react to variations in laser light. They're that sensitive. So a nice focused laser beam, a stream of photons, can push that diaphragm a little, and therefore a laser pointed at a MEMS microphone and modulated properly will be read as a voice by the mic, but you won't be able to hear it unless you can hear laser light. and your ear is in the way because it's also line of sight. To pull this off, an attacker would need a laser source like a laser pointer. That's cheap enough. But you also need a laser driver and an audio amplifier, and the laser driver is intended for lab use. So you're going to need someone with some experience with laser equipment to assemble this properly. Not everybody's going to be able to do it just by going down to their hardware store. Researchers tested Apple, Amazon, Google, and Facebook devices, found that almost all the smart speakers registered the commands from at least 164 feet away. They tested up through 300 feet, and then they just didn't test any farther than that. iPhones were only vulnerable from a range of around 33 feet, and Android phones were only able to be controlled within 16 feet for some reason. But you do have to have clear line of sight. They were able to make it work through a window with a telephoto lens that refocused the beam, but you do have to target that very small microphone exactly accurate as well.
Well, we know that if somebody wants to hack a voice assistant, a voice-enabled device, and they have the wherewithal to figure something like this out, someone will do it. So this is definitely a security risk, and it's something that people should understand is possible. It does sound complicated, yes, but I guess my initial question is, okay, well, if that's the case, pretty genius hack, really. Then how do the microphones in these devices have to change so this doesn't happen?
I don't know that is necessarily the solution, right? Like I don't know. When I say I don't know. It may just be like these are fundamentally insecure and don't use them for things that are important, like your door locks.
Yeah.
Or just turn them so the microphones aren't facing any open window.
Yeah, that's so it would be, it would be hard to get a laser pointed at him. I mean, if you're around, you'll see the laser if you're paying attention, but you might not be paying attention. The bigger risk is probably when you're not there and someone needs to break in. I think there's also a positive here, at night when you want to be super quiet, you don't even want to whisper, just point your laser at the thing. I guess you could just use a remote control at that point.
How does the laser know what you wanted to say?
Yeah. Well, you have to build it yourself.
You have to program the laser ahead of time.
Yeah, you have to build one of these with the driver and everything. Yeah. I guess that's not really convenient. No. No, you're right. How to mitigate this is an interesting conundrum, and probably just moving the mic away from line of sight is one of your best defenses. Send us your favorite defense. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com.
Facebook has announced a corporate rebranding with an all caps version of the word Facebook in gray or whatever color fits some of its sub-brands like Instagram or WhatsApp. For example, if you're in WhatsApp, it'll be green. Instagram will be kind of that rainbow Instagram band of colors. Those brands will have a new logo in the form of from Facebook all in caps at the bottom of pages. The idea is to distinguish the Facebook company from the Facebook social networks. Two different things, guys. To be clear, the social network not changing its logo. It's still that lowercase blue Facebook.
Okay, so the social network where I go and get very angry at my relatives is called Facebook.
That's right.
But the parent company is called Facebook.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. And that should make it very good. I mean, it's funny. I told the guys before the show that I asked a designer friend of mine who does a lot of corporate identity brand logo stuff. I said, what's your take? Right. Because I'm not much of an artist. And he was like, this is stupid. And that's it. That's all he had to say. He was just like
technical design language there.
Yeah. And I was like, I mean, it doesn't look stupid. He said, no, it doesn't look stupid. It's just, this is just going to further confuse people. I mean, you don't want to have different versions of the Facebook logo all over the place because people don't understand the difference between Facebook, the company, and Facebook, the social network. I mean, we do, our listeners do, but in general, it does sort of dilute the logo in general.
Facebook made a decision that they didn't want to change the name of the parent company like Alphabet did. And so when they did that, they then decided, but we also want to remind people that Instagram and WhatsApp are part of us because we think that'll help keep folks from wanting to break us up if they think of us less as a conglomerate that owns a bunch of things and more as like a family. So they wanted to brand those things. I'm not sure this is going to achieve what they want when most people think Facebook is too big, and putting the Facebook name on more things makes it look bigger.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what Sarah was saying was, if you look at Ford went to do a new logo, I don't know, maybe in the late 60s, early 70s, And the thing that's so pathetic is you look at the options they were looking at that time, and you're just like, oh my goodness, that's so incredibly pathetic and dated. And also, it's like, so we have Facebook, the 300-pound gorilla, a small chicken, and this sort of svelte, nice house caddy kind of thing that also weighs 200 or 300 pounds. And the whole idea of like branding is Facebook is going to dilute people's fear of Facebook and the horrible things they do on such a regular basis with our information is just, I mean, that's incredible wishful thinking for a company that big and that smart.
I think there's a little bit of effect, right? If I love WhatsApp and I'm like, oh, end-to-end secure encryption, and I've heard people say this, why can't Facebook be more like that? If they look and see, oh, wait, Facebook makes this, sure, it will have that effect in those cases. I'm with you, Patrick. I don't think that effect outweighs the other effect that it will also have. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just going to make more people when they are angry at other things, think of Facebook that way. I think of CNET. When CNET started buying other properties like download.com, like GameSpot, they changed the parent company name to CNET Networks because they, like Facebook, wanted to keep the branding in the parent company name. They didn't want to go as extreme as Alphabet did with Google. Mm-hmm. But CNET Networks implied, oh, this is different. It's not just CNET. It's the other networks that are involved with CNET. Facebook just branding themselves as we're Facebook, but also Facebook. I don't know that it achieves that either.
Well, it's also funny because it's such a sophisticated piece of typography compared to like the Facebook logo. It's like, I'm fun, I'm cheerful. You want to have me as your first college roommate. And then you get to Facebook. Like, oh, we're big fans of the Lincoln Mark V typography. So we just copied that in gray.
Every once in a while, I have to sort of take a step back and be like, the company is called Facebook. I mean, it's sort of silly. It's just become, it's such a part of life, not for everybody, but for that you had, I don't know, we used to make fun of the name Google and nobody even bothers with that anymore. Sure. But Facebook it's a rather silly company name considering what the company has become.
Well, that's good news for Peacock then. Maybe we'll get used to that.
Right.
I think this is a decent name. Freedom House has issued its Internet Freedom Rankings, which it does regularly, and has found a worldwide decline in freedom on the Internet. Freedom House has been around for a long time. They evaluate things like freedom of the press and of late, freedom of the Internet. Iceland and Estonia, T2T2, you can raise that flag high. Iceland and Estonia remained at the top of the charts. China and Iran are at the bottom of the Internet freedom charts. While censorship is one of the factors it measures, it's found this report that disinformation and propaganda have seen significant increases, and those are also negatives for Internet freedom. Freedom House President Mike Abramowitz said, quote, many governments are finding that on social media, propaganda works better than censorship. So just get a message out there on the social networks to counteract the thing you want to combat, and you do better than trying to suppress the thing you want to combat. Surveillance, which also has a chilling effect on speech. When you think people are watching, you're less likely to do certain things. Also on the rise. In fact, the United States and China have both expanded monitoring of social media significantly. If you're like, wait a minute, who are these Freedom House guys? They were started in 1941 by Republican presidential candidate Wendell Willkie and the wife and First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Currently 86% wife of President Roosevelt and First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. And it's currently 86% funded by U.S. government grants.
Well,
yeah, so,
considering the world we live in, it doesn't surprise me that suppressing information is, I mean, it's possible sometimes, but as we all know, it's getting harder and harder to do. Being able to spread propaganda to mitigate what might be information that you don't want out there, or that's incorrect, or you're incorrect, and you're trying to confuse people further. It contributes to a lot of noise, and so it's not necessarily the right direction I think we should be going in, but it does make sense that that's kind of the way it works right now.
And it does seem to be something that you see being used not just by governments but by activist organizations as well. So it's a good warning, just something to keep in mind.
All right, let's talk numbers. Falling numbers, in fact. Micron's revenue dropped 23%. Seagate revenue dropped 25%. Samsung reported a 52% fall in profit. Not good news for investors, but very good news if you're building a PC because it's going to be cheaper than it was before. PC parts in general have been getting cheaper all year. A 16 gigabyte DDR4 kit that might have cost you upwards of $150 or more in recent memory now sells for around $75. And with Singles Day coming in China, that's November 11th, and Black Friday to follow in the US at the end of this month, deals on already cheap parts are going to be very attractive if you like to build or modify your desktop. And we just so happen to have Patrick Norton with us today. So, Patrick, what is the good news here?
Oh, my goodness. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, one of my neighbors, and he was like, I wanted a new PC, but everything's so expensive. And I'm like, what's the last time you checked prices? And he was like, what? And we were looking at, we were talking about this before. When you look at the Amazon price history, I love camel.com, right? It is an incredible tool to figure out whether or not, for example, something you're shopping for Black Friday, is it actually a Black Friday deal? And you want to get the information early, because if you are thinking about buying something at Black Friday, sometimes popular items have an entire new Amazon entry created. So all of the price history for the product, if it's been around for a while, magically disappears, sometimes temporarily just for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which I find really loathsome. Doesn't happen a lot, but it happens occasionally. But when you look at, for example, memory prices, Corsair Vengeance 16 gigabyte DDR4 RAM, one of the most popular memory products on there, peaked out at like $220. I want to say January 2018, February 2018. And, it's back down to the $65, $75 range for 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's as low as it's been since mid 2016, which is awesome. It sucks for memory manufacturers. It is great if you're thinking about building a new PC. Same thing for SSD drives. SSD prices have been dropping off of a cliff. It's easy to get a decent non-NVMe drive, like a standard SSD drive. I think Samsung's 860 EVO, the 500 gigabyte version. If you look at the history, back in early 2018, that was selling for like $150. They're down to like $70 now. 1 terabyte drives, by the way, under $150 from most of the major manufacturers of SSDs. Not NVMe; those are a little more expensive, but it has been amazing to watch the prices drop down. We had something we affectionately refer to as Shrout's Law on This Week in Computer Hardware. Ryan Shrout now, of course, works for Intel doing internal benchmarking, but his thing was like, he's not going to be happy till SSDs are actually down to 10 cents a gigabyte. And we've actually been seeing those prices being hit on like non-sale prices, depending on the part.
Wow.
When you're looking at it. Yeah. So if you don't have an SSD, it's time.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
And that camel.com is a great resource, especially like you say on sale days. If you're like, is this really cheap? Because it looks cheap. That's an excellent resource. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. Patrick, as we mentioned earlier in the show, is sort of taken off on the road a little bit these days, which means you're relying entirely, am I right, on mobile internet?
Pretty much entirely, unless we stop in at a hotel or unless we're, say, at an empty RV park like a KOA. We are pretty much, actually, for all intents and purposes, when you look at a lot of places like Campgrounds of America is a popular place to park RVs, most of them actually have, that we've stayed at, actually throttle internet, so you can kind of download web pages and answer email, but you're not going to stream anything off of their internet. And so we kind of moved out, and I was waiting for to find like a better plan in terms of the amount of data we would get. And my family blew through I have an old 50 gigabytes a month guaranteed without throttling plan on AT&T, and they blew through that in like 15 days. And I was like, uh-oh. And what's interesting is when you talk about mobile data, when you talk about wireless data, nobody really wants to sell data in bulk, period. Several years ago, it got to the point where, I used to have a plan where I would get like 25, 30 gigabytes, and then I could buy additional blocks of data. And then, of course, everything went to unlimited, which I'll make fun of and talk smack about in a moment. And then it went from you could buy additional blocks of data to, oh, nope, we're going to shut you down to 128K. And in my case, I was at CES one year, and the internet we were provided with was trash. And I was able to, I went through like 25 gigabytes of data and then bought like another 25 gigabytes of data, which was expensive for what it was, but compared to the monthly fee, but was manageable and allowed us to actually, do the uploading we needed to do to meet our production deadlines. These days, their goal is not to sell data. Their goal is to basically, we'll guarantee you this much, and after that, they throttle you. So in case you didn't know, and I'm sure everybody listening to Daily Tech News shows knows this, unlimited basically means you get X number of gigabytes, then they have their choice of throttling you at that point, or they automatically throttle you. And if they say they throttle you to 128K, but you get all the 128K data you want until the next billing cycle, it turns out a lot of websites won't actually load at 128K. Whether they have large graphics, active server pages. So just as a surprise. So at that point, I was like, oh, well, now I got to go, now I got to go pull the ripcord and buy a whole bunch of internet. And one of the only companies that is offering a plan with more than like 25 gigabytes of data is Sprint. And they will give you have to buy one of their wireless hotspots. I did a Wi-Fi 8000, but you get 100 gigabytes of data for 60 gigs a month. Speed's not spectacular.
For $60 a month.
Yeah, 100 gigabytes for $60 a month, which is incredibly low for wireless data. And then I found out there's a website called rvmobileinternet.com. And I had known about these guys for a while, and I went back to him when Sasha Sagan, who does all the editing, or he's basically runs the mobile group over at PCMag.com. He's like, oh, you need to go. I was like, I know about them. They're awesome. And rvmobileinternet.com, one of the things they do is they track all of the deals on large amounts of wireless data, because they tend to sort of pop up. And if they're successful, somebody in the company panics and they kill the project off. For example, Verizon had a fascinating unlimited prepaid data plan, which is a huge deal because Verizon has the best coverage, especially west of the Mississippi, for the United States. And they have an excellent, incredibly fast network. So they, for a brief, for several minutes, it was actually several weeks, you could actually get an actual, genuine, unlimited data Verizon plan. I spent like 3 weeks trying to find one to buy with zero success. So, what I ended up doing was buying, there's a company called Togo, who's from an RV manufacturer called Thor. And they have a branded version of this Winegard device. It looks like a giant salad bowl or Tupperware bowl. And it's about 8 inches high and about 16 inches wide. It's got a mediocre but acceptable router and a 4G LTE, radio with a couple of antennas, and it's designed to perch on top of be bolted to the top of your, in my case, Airstream, your RV, and it comes with, for an extra $360 a year, an unlimited data plan.
Wow. And who do they use as the carrier for that?
AT&T. And that's the only thing it'll run with. Getting it to run in a way, this is actually, I'm very excited because this is my first actual attempt with this where I've successfully been able to run an actual Skype conversation.
So that is the connection you're using right now.
Right now.
And have been using for the past, the entire show. So that's
I was kind of waiting for that because I know everybody listening was like, but what is he using now? And anybody who's watching our video, I mean, your video is good. You seem up and running for, considering the limitations that you're dealing with.
It's been interesting. The performance, it's funny because I'm in the middle of what I will affectionately call a conversation and learning process with tech support for the company that built the box. Because I started asking lots of questions. And, I had some questions about the performance, which originally was not so good. And I got this boilerplate back, this cut and paste boilerplate back that was like, AT&T reserves the right. I'm like, no, that's not the plan I have. That's not the boilerplate I signed for. Doesn't really matter because AT&T can basically do whatever they want at any time based on their boilerplate, their licensing agreement. But it's been fun because at this point it's gone from being sort of unusable to like, hey, this is actually, I can stream video on this. Yeah. It's also amazing how little bandwidth Skype actually needs. For like 720p streaming, you should be able to do pretty well with a megabyte up. But yeah, I would poke around on the app and see exactly what my bandwidth is right now. But I'm afraid if I do that, I'll probably kill this conversation.
You'll bring everything down. We'll
yeah.
try it after DTNS is done and see what happens. Yeah. I know there's somebody out there going like, what about Google Fi? And the problem with Google Fi is it's $10 per gigabyte after 15 gigabytes. And, so
that
that's
adds up.
I mean, you could buy it, but yeah, it's going to add up really fast. Well, I think that rvmobileinternet.com is definitely a great resource for a lot of people out there. Oh, give us the name of the mushroom, the salad bowl again.
The Togo C2 Road Link, or the Togo Road Link C2.
Togo Road Link C, like to go. Togo
Yes.
Road Link.
I guess it's
C2.
probably what I'm supposed to be saying is to go Road Link C2.
I like Togo. That's much better. Yeah.
It makes me think of Jim Belushi and Terrible Things in Animal House.
Right. It definitely made me think of togas for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Togo
the sandwich
Road Link
shop.
C2.
Yeah.
Excuse me. To go.
Awesome.
Road Link
Thank you,
C2.
Patrick. Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
We'll have links to all this stuff in the show notes as well.
Thanks everybody who participates in our subreddit. You guys, guys and gals, submit lots of stuff related to the conversation that we just had. Keep it coming. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Also, join in on the conversation on our Discord, where you can link to at patreon.com/DTNS.
Let's check out the mailbag.
Let's do it. Dave in Madison, Wisconsin wrote in with a couple of really good points. And this was in response to yesterday's show, Monday's show. Dave says, regarding the AirPods Pro and their new noise canceling feature, I had the opportunity to attend some live music over the weekend, forgot my earplugs. I did have the new AirPod Pros in my pocket though. Since I was wearing my Apple Watch, I knew that the ambient sound levels were around 110 decibels sustained. However, popping in the AirPods and turning on the noise reduction prevented me getting any tinnitus the next day. So while that probably isn't advertised use of them, it worked out great in my case, and I'm thankful for having had them. Then Dave goes on to say, regarding the data storage on glass story, I work for a very large research university's library as a programmer, and we have very large data sets that don't change once they're established. Something like the glass type of data storage would be perfect for our needs. I'm especially curious how it could be used for things like our digital collections, for example, the DARE fieldwork recordings. Currently, we use a few options, even tape backups, one of which is a service like Amazon Glacier, which is super cheap to store and keep, but costs a little bit more to restore. Having another medium like the glass storage mentioned would be really valuable to us.
Oh, that's great. And very resourceful using the AirPods Pro for a little noise reduction. That's a great tip. Thank you, Dave, and thank you everyone who emails us feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com.
Also, shout out to our patrons at our master and grandmaster levels, including DeGracia A. Daniels, Tim Deputy, and Kevin S. Morgan. And also thanks to Patrick Norton for being with us today. Patrick, you're on the move. We're so glad to have you and can't wait to have you back wherever you may be next. Let folks know where they can keep up with your life, your goings on.
Twit.tv/Twitch, This Week in Computer Hardware. Just search for it on your favorite podcaster or avxl.com. Robert and I finally got AVXL up and running again and did our first episode in quite a long time.
Woohoo!
Earlier this weekend, and it's up for our patrons and about to go out to everybody who subscribes to the podcast.
We have new Patreon rewards right here. Daily Tech News Show. Get a peek at our show rundown as we develop it. Behind the scenes chats. Join in our Discord, like we said. Sign up right now, and you actually, if you sign up by November 25th, you'll get included on our holiday greeting card. Len Peralta hard at work on a new design. We'll send you a holiday card if you sign up right now. Patreon.com/DTNS.
Would you like to send us an electronic mail rather? Darn it, man, I messed that up. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That's 21:30 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
33 minutes exactly.
Wow.
33.
No extra seconds. So Patrick,
Sir.
we got to the end of the Google Play points, and you said you wanted more time for your complicated thoughts. Should we choose a show title first and then dig into that? Because that's what Good Day
Sure.
Internet's for, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. What are the title options?
DTNS.showbot.tv is the place to find them. We have This Rebranding Screams Facebook. Facebook, too big to name. The Price Spitting Camel. Wow. Camel. Still Patrick Tuesday, because Patrick Beja is often the guest on Tuesday. Greetings from the Silver Twinkie. Stars Wars. Mems the Word.
I like Greetings from the Silver Twinkie.
It's pretty good.
That's a good one. I mean,
Done.
if that doesn't make you listen to an episode, nothing will.
The name of the mushroom. I think that's what I said. What's the name of that mushroom thing on your? It's from Weingard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Greetings from the Silver Twinkie, then.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. Done. And then, thank you to Zoe Brings Bacon for suggesting that one.
Yay, Zoe.
For our GDI title, there's Never Doubt Sarah. Very good advice. Natural Sounds, Actively Blurred Patrick, Fawk News, like Guy Fawkes.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that's dangerous to say.
It is.
Red was a dwarf. I like Never Doubt Sarah. We should do that.
Everyone's moving to Roger's big ass mansion.
That's right.
All right. I skipped right past that. Everyone's moving to Roger's big ass mansion. It's good too.
So wait,
I don't know why Showbot is being so weird with me the last couple days.
What
It just
happened in that
doesn't-
one?
Oh, there we go. Oh, now I see it.
Wait, was it Never Doubt Sarah? What was the one we just...
Never Doubt Sarah.
Okay.
You want to do that one?
No, what was the one before my big ass mansion?
Natural Sounds.
Fox.
No,
News?
no,
Guy
after
Fox
the...
News.
Actively
Natural Sounds.
blurred Patrick.
All right. Never Doubt Sarah. We'll do that.
Okay. All right.
Nor should you.
Oh no, my
except when you should.
my big ass has too many letters in it. It won't fit. My big ass
Which is-
won't fit.
I think that should be the title of the show now.
Just
Well, there's a timeless
letters.
classic, you know.
Michael Storm suggested Never Doubt Sarah, and BioCow suggested Everyone's Moving to Roger's Big Ass Mansion. Thank you both for suggesting those. My big ass has too many letters in it. Has now been suggested as well. Roger, I leave it to you.
I'll do
vote
Never
your
Doubt
conscience.
Sarah. Probably
Yeah.
if it's too long, it gets cut off
Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
pod.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So, Patrick.
How would you like to continue your conversation about?
Play
Oh, my goodness.
play points, making your kids spend money with in-app purchases, addiction. Where should we start?
They're all so cheerful, even by my standards. Oh my goodness. No, it's been. Oh goodness. You guys were probably talking about this earlier this week. Hold on.
Well, because the thing about it is, like, I get why Google wants to do it. And as I mentioned, I'm getting sort of tired of having to think about loyalty programs, but there is an insidiousness to it. And I wonder now if we will start to see a loyalty program backlash at some point where people are tired of being tricked into being loyal to things.
Well, I mean, I think it's on some level. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
there are loyalty programs that make a lot of sense. For example,
Right.
yes.
at Chewy.com, I do an auto ship and I get a certain amount of money off because they want me to,
Right.
to reorder my dog food every month.
And you
That's
know how
something
much
I'm
Otis
going
is
to-
going to eat.
Exactly.
So it's
Like, it
easy to
doesn't.
predict.
Yeah. This is actually my best option. So it's like, okay,
Right.
I'm
Is
loyal.
it a
I'm happy
loyalty
to be.
program or is it? Or
Well,
you-
it's
can you-
it's basically like auto pay.
It's a
Right.
way to encourage you to continue.
The company
to buy
knows I'm
shoe.
not going anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so I get a little
Yeah.
bit of there are ways that it works out for everybody. But in general, yeah, like a lot of like loyalty points, even with credit cards, where you get a Chevron card or something strange where you're like, oh, that's cool, but do I want that? It actually changes my behavior in a way that's not necessarily what I would have done anyway.
That's the key. Yeah. When I'm starting to do something that is against my own interests because of the loyalty program, like when I find myself tempted, like, well, I know this flight is $300 more, but I'll get points, like that's crazy talk. That's when it's counterproductive.
Right.
The grocery store. Well, go ahead, Patrick. Yeah.
I was going to say, but some people are kind of vulnerable to that. I think part of my reaction to that was there's a great New York Times article, "The Secret Consumer Score Access." I think Kashmir Hill wrote it, where it talks about, because of the California law that basically says these companies have to reveal what they're tracking on you. When she filed her request with a company called Sift, it was like everything she'd ever done on Airbnb, Yelp delivery orders. What does it say? Quote, a log of every time I open the Coinbase app on my iPhone. Entries included detailed information about the advice she used to do these things, including her IP address at the time. And it's been a kind of a running joke, or something I've made fun of for a long time. Eventually, that so you put your phone number in to get the discount on Safe, like when you go to the Safeway supermarket, and eventually Safeway will start selling that data in real time to your health insurance company, and your health insurance company will start adjusting the rates you pay for your health insurance based on is your cart full of vegetables or is your cart full of bacon fat.
No,
this is speculative.
What if that happened?
Oh gosh,
like
I
if
was
we're not careful, that's a thing that that's a dystopian thing.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's of course I was like, is that happening? I mean, not that I don't know. I'm pretty proud of most of the things that I ordered at the grocery store.
I was actually about to say
in general, but it's it's the sort of thing. It's it's that's along the lines of people lying to their doctors because they they want their health insurance to be at a level that is reasonable for them. Never mind how they're actually living their lives.
Well, because the grocery store thing is a great example. I love the way the Ralph's program works. I put in my phone number, it gives me a discount and sends me coupons for the things I buy. I'm going to go to that store anyway because it's the closest one. I'm going to buy those things anyway, even though they're sending me a coupon. The ones I could tell when the coupons are trying to nudge me in a certain direction. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So I'm fine with that. But there needs to be a safeguard that says that data can only be used for the grocery store, right? Because I don't want them sharing it with the health insurance, because the health insurance is going to pitch it this way. They're going to say, like, if you buy this level of vegetables from your grocery store, we'll give you a discount on your insurance. It's voluntary. Just let us tap into your grocery purchases. And maybe the insurance companies won't do that. I'm sure there's somebody in insurance out there like, yeah, we'd never do this for that, or the other reason. But just as a thought experiment, that's a perfectly reasonable thing. Oh, you're not raising my rate, you're lowering my rate. And you're doing it because of a behavior I already do. But I don't like that, because lowering the rate is just another way of saying raising the rate, right? Like if you could lower it for everybody, you would, but you're not. You're only lowering it for certain people. So it is punishing people who don't share the data or don't buy vegetables. Also, probably a horrible example, because maybe vegetables aren't a big enough actuarial table item for that, but you could probably come up with one that is.
Yeah, it's what a lot of people don't realize is that a ton of information is already being tracked and logged about you constantly. Not just all of the tracking stuff it's done on your web browser, but in terms of there's huge back end chunks of data where they track information and try to figure out what are you likely to buy, what are you going to buy, where are you going to buy it. And I think it gets interesting when you start combining access to these. The license plate tracking being another one that came up recently, where there's all of these townships or counties that are they have vehicles with license plate scanners that are scanning license plates 24/7, and then all that goes into a database. And now there's actually there's companies purchasing that information so that, for example, private investigators or repo men can log in, or who knows, who else might actually have access to that data. And it gets kind of really curious and kind of creepy as we get more comfortable with the surveillance society, where this ends up going and what it evolves into, which is way far away from being like, I got 1.4 points in Google Play points. but it was also part of we taught Seamus how to say the word advertising about the time he was able to sort of watch videos and read, which was adorable because he pronounced it as aspertizing, which I think is such a wonderful word, and
because it made
it's
me
also
aspirate.
Yeah. Well, we've been staying in a hotel, and the boys are finding the advertising on the cable channels in the hotel absolutely fascinating and hysterical and novel, or they were 3 or 4 days ago, and now they're back to being like,
yeah, it's fun. The fun wore off.
Yeah. 98% of the video they've consumed in their life has been direct with no commercials off of Netflix or iTunes or wherever. But it's with gaming that I've had to spend a lot of time talking to the boys. Like, well, they want you to do that. And they want you to sign in, and then they're going to try to send you, messages on your iPad to nag you to play, and you're going to get this thing. And just being like, this is attempting to, it's fun to try to explain to 11-year-old how a company is either A, trying to create a better business model by charging the people with too much money and not enough cents for upgrades, or B, and then the whole gift box thing, or B, that they are trying to create sort of obsessive compulsive addictive behavior because they have an opportunity to sort of nag you into paying attention to their product even when it's not actively being used.
The Google Play thing, the privacy part of it is not as big of a measure because they already have your data, right?
I was going to say they already have everything.
Yeah. They're not gaining extra data on you with this. They're just getting you to use it more, which so they're more of an accelerant in this particular situation, I think. Now, to tie this in to our other conversation from Freedom House, obviously one of the effective things the government is doing is putting out disinformation. Do that yourself. Act erratically. And then you poison the database for them. Get where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Open up, join the loyalty program, and then download a bunch of things you're never going to use, and just confuse them, right?
I'm with you. The problem is like that requires so much active effort. It's like, what am I getting? What kind of a discount? Like, for a 10% discount or for a couple of points, I'm probably just going to not bother to sign up for the program because I don't want to go through the effort of obfuscating it.
I do feel like I don't act predictably enough for a lot of these things to be useful yet, but at some point
ask your wife, Tom. Ask your wife. She'll agree.
She'll say yes. I wish he was a little more predictable.
Tom Merritt, non sequitur with feet.
Yeah. But even that, like, I'm still a human being, right? So there's not, as far as you know, there's going to be an AI that can figure out my pattern at some point. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and a matter of processing power becoming cheap. Yeah, I don't know. It's I get a little uptight about the amount of tracking that's being done and what's being done with it or what it could lead to. But people only worry about that because they have something to hide.
I'm going to do my editor's desk. Editor's desk goes out to the $5 and up patrons. I'm going to do my editor's desk on Thursday about privacy. I will definitely be bringing up that principle of if you've got nothing to hide, why are you worried situation. But I got a really interesting email about what is the problem with privacy. Everybody talks about wanting privacy, and that's perfectly reasonable, but how do we determine what it is we want from our privacy? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, there's several really amazing books and articles about sort of the history of privacy, waxing and waning with the history of civilization. Gosh. So
the more people around you and the fewer of them the more privacy you want. Seems to be the general principle I've seen in a lot of the research that I've seen. For instance, Sarah, she doesn't care about privacy anymore because she lives around no one anymore.
No, yeah, I don't lock my doors. It's a free for all. It's fine. It's
yeah. Am I allowed to ask?
Way to live. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, am I allowed to ask where you currently live? Because I figure it's somewhere north of me right now.
I'm in Forestville. I'm in Forestville, California. So I'm Sonoma County. I'm on the Russian River. We
deep
are
in the
on,
forest.
yeah, we're unincorporated, so I'm not really in any town, but that's where my zip code says that I live.
That's where
We're
the mini mart is.
And what's funny, I was so excited that you're going to be on the show today because on our property, when I say our, I mean it's my landlord's property. I'm only renting
Right.
part of it, but it's sort of a compound. In fact, it is a compound. That's exactly what it is. But there's an area kind of that has a different driveway and entrance and generator, over kind of on the side that you can't see. It's sort of down the hill a little bit. And we bought an Airstream. And the Airstream is kind of just going to stay there. So, people can like Airbnb it. And that's, part of the charm, like it's not actually designed to be moved or anything. But otherwise, it's sort of dead space because it's like, I don't know, just sort of extra car parking that really isn't necessary because there's a ton of it already. And so, yeah, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll go like sleep in the Airstream every once in a while if no one else is in there. Yeah, because I'm property managing the whole thing anyway. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm super excited, and we've kind of got the area is. I mean, there's place to park it obviously, and there's all the necessary plumbing that is involved. I don't know. I kind of have to get up to speed on some of that, but there's also enough of kind of chill out area that you could almost like hang a little like projector from the trees, and let people like do a little movie night. I don't know if the weather's nice. I'm probably getting a little too ahead of myself, but it's a really cute area down there. It's its own kind of area apart from the rest of the property that you would feel very secluded, even though you're within the same kind of fencing that the rest of us are. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So you want,
or if we don't get our act together, you guys just go park your Airstream in there, and then you can live with me.
That wouldn't be awkward at all.
What you offer?
well, it wouldn't be awkward because there's a lot of space, Raj. I mean, honestly, like
this is how cults get started. You
we
realize
wouldn't even have to see each other. No, it'd be great. They got their own entrance. You come and go as will. You want to use the hot tub? Great.
I don't ask questions. You don't ask. You don't poke your nose in my business. We're all fine.
There are rules to living in Sonoma County, Roger.
Yeah,
there are rules.
Well, and it's a good place to wait for Roger's big ass mansion to finally come to fruition.
Well,
I'll be in everyone's business at that point.
Southern California.
Eventually, Sub Brilliant or the Chang family just should buy this, because then I don't have to leave. As a renter, you never know how long you're going to stay. I would prefer to stay here forever.
Right.
So please get one of you get your acts together, and then
I will create.
All just
if I become crazy, stupid rich, I will build you a road and call it Sarah's Lane.
Well, that would be one of many, as Google alerts tell me every day. There are a lot of Sarah Lanes that are streets in the U.S. and beyond, but mostly in the U.S. But
in outer space, like when you say beyond.
Yes, some of them are on Mars, but most of them are in the U.S.
Where the streets have no lane.
Oh, yeah, it's sometimes people will send me, honestly, I feel like Sarah Lane, of all the things that you would name a lane, is, I don't know, slightly odd, but whatever.
Right.
Fine.
Too.
But there are many of them. Well,
it's because,
and I'm sure Patrick, your Sarah probably, she's when your name is Sarah, you just get used to the fact that your name is everywhere in the world. Everywhere, every character in every show and every movie will be named Sarah. Someone will.
So, in beautiful Mason City, Illinois, where most of my immediate family on my dad's side is buried, there is when my now wife, who was my girlfriend, met my grandfather, we ended up going to the family plot because we were going to see the stone that was put over my grandmother's grave, and we sort of roll into there, and I get out to go walk over to my dad's stone, and my grandfather goes out to walk to my grandmother's stone, and there's this. Sarah starts wandering around because it's it's the dirt, as Tom will tell you. This is a cornfield and a cemetery, trees. It's incredibly picturesque, and there's this one giant obelisk in the middle of the plot. The family plot, it's massive white, marble. It's very weathered. It's been there since like the 1860s, 1870s, and it says Patrick and Sarah with the Sarah spelled the right way for my Sarah. she said she had this like total like
Well,
kinda-
no, she has an H, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
it
well,
was-
that
it
is that is the right way. Period.
I agree. But I worked with someone who spelled it without an H, and
I just
felt
don't
very
know.
differently
Yeah,
about her.
it's Sarah's.
Listen, if somebody-
we're never going to come to terms on this. It is a partisan line. For sure.
It's like working with someone whose parents didn't properly raise them. You just got to give them allowances. You know, they didn't give them the H.
You feel sorry for them, and you
Yeah,
go,
it's not their
okay,
fault.
you're still
Yeah.
okay. You're an
I worked
okay
with someone
person.
whose parents were Middle English enthusiasts and spelled their daughter's name in Middle English. So I cannot imagine. I think actually it was kind of like the Johnny Cash song, A Boy Named Sue. I think the name made her a very strong and powerful individual. But there was probably a lot of suffering in grade school around that.
What was her name?
If
Blossom,
we may ask.
spelled with an
Oh.
X.
Oh, she was too.
What was it?
Bloxam.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bloxam. I thought you said like Blossom, like the TV
Well, no, he
show.
did.
Oh,
It was
Blossom.
Blossom, but
But
it's
spelled
with an
spelled
X.
as if it was a Middle
See, that's
English.
it. I think that's a really cool name. But
I
yes,
do
too.
you probably have to. You've been spelling out loud your name for people your entire life. You get kind of sick of it.
it's like Sarah, but without the H.
Well,
That's-
it's
Ooh, now you're crossing a line.
the thing. Yeah, the thing with Sarah is because there's so many of us. I mean, half the world is named Sarah. Let's be honest. And it's there are many H's and there are many without, and whatever. I don't know. People, but people. Anytime they say, "What's your name?" I say Sarah, with or without. And I go with, and they go, okay. And you can kind of tell if they are happy that I have an H or not. But it's like that's the follow-up question, because everybody knows that it goes both ways, and that Sarahs get really weird about these things.
It
I don't know
seems
any
like-
other name that's like that much of like. I mean, they're not. I don't know. You can spell Thomas without an H, I suppose, but it's like
Tomas.
what
Well,
other
that's-
name is so spelled two different ways where it like makes people mad?
Tom with an H, spelling not Thomas, but Tom, Thom, is a
Yeah,
thing.
that's-
And the Toms that spell
Yeah.
it with an H get very, very
Yeah.
vigorous about making sure it's spelled with an H. And the rest of us are just
But
like,
it's
that's
it's
fine.
not so much of a 50-50 thing.
It's
Like
not. That's the thing. It's like
yeah.
the Toms with an H are they're very much in
Yeah,
there.
like I'm doing it my way, kind of thing.
Well,
Oh
most
yeah,
peop-
there's Eric with a C, Eric with a K. Is that similar? I
there's
wonder?
my name. Some people add a D for some reason.
Nobody has actually does that though.
Yeah,
That's
they
like
do.
Tom with an H, right? Like
No, they-
there's
R-
very few
R-O-D,
people-
RODGER.
But there are very few people that have a D in their Roger. I don't understand why people put a D in the Roger. Like it's so rare. It
But
just
they've done
confuses
it
me
like
when people-
twice in the past.
Oh, I know. No,
Yeah.
I've seen it in our email, and it just confuses me. I'm like, why?
Well,
Well,
that's-
it's probably because
Sarah's without H's say the same thing. They're like, why do you need an H? It's silent. Just
But
drop
that's
it. And I'm
common.
like,
It's
but-
common that the H is there. It's not common to see someone who's properly
more common
named,
that the H is there, but it's
but
still
it's pretty
yeah.
frequent. Whereas Roger with a D, like that's very rare to see.
The Roger with a D is much more common in Commonwealth countries. It's a Great Britain, Canada.
Even there, though, it's still unusual.
over there, some people call me Rodney for some reason.
What?
Yeah.
'Cause they see well,
If they
I
hear
was gonna
Roger,
say they
for
see
some
the
reason
D,
it
but you don't
translates
have a
into
D in
Roger.
your
It's
name.
like, no, it's Roger.
Over there,
Roger
where?
Waters. Like,
over
Roger
across
Moore.
the pond.
I
I
mean,
was gonna
Roger
say-
Moore doesn't spell his name with a D in it.
No, most Rogers in Britain and the other Commonwealth countries
Companies.
don't.
The British East India Company.
Also, who called you Rodney ever?
I won't go into it, but it's happened to me at least once.
More than once.
More than
well, I
once.
think people see the
But not more
maybe
than
I don't
two.
know RO and just are lazy.
I don't. My PE coach.
Feels-
Oh, sorry. Used to call
Your
me
PE
Robert
coach?
for some reason.
Call you what?
Robert. He would just call me Robert. It's like my name. It's like I get it. The first two
like a
letters are
Robert.
similar. There's a
That's
E,
just a
but
bad. That's just bad memory. That's just not understanding.
Maybe too many.
He's
Right.
just a bad person.
Yeah.
Too many years on the field getting hit.
Yeah.
by-
Just
Yeah.
too many kids. I forget your
I
name.
also know someone who called you James, and that was even worse.
Yes, but Tom
that-
or Patrick
that
knows
is actually
Patrick knows that
bad.
guy too. or did.
That's
That's just a special situation.
yeah, that's like you need more coffee, man. Look alive.
Or just pay
or
attention
or
to
an
your
entirely new
programming.
life. Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to judge, but that's
You know,
true.
I never corrected him either because what am I supposed to say?
Yeah, you know what? You weren't gonna win that battle.
Yeah, it's like you're wrong. Oh, I'm fired. Bye.
All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed the show. We certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. Tell your friends about Good Day Internet, patreon.com/DTNS, and have a good day.
Good day, internet.
Good day, and remember the D is silent.